Good morning, students. Today we are going to cover a small topic from the Unit 1, Paper 4. Paper 4, that is Industrial Hygiene and Chemical Safety. And the Unit 1, it is nothing but the Industrial Hygiene. Industrial Hygiene. And in that industrial hygiene, normally there are 4 topics. So one topic is occupational environmental stress, and under this topic we have to cover the topic that is chemical stress. So what is a chemical stress? So chemical stress is a stress which occurs when a tissue is damaged. So in case of chemical stress, we can say that the tissue is damaged or inflamed as a result of an overuse. So how you are going to define the chemical stress? The chemical stress occurs when a tissue is damaged or inflamed as a result of overuse. So you know that working condition influences the work performance. मतलब जहाँ पे हम काम करते हैं वहाँ का environmental factor जो है work performance को affect करता है. And these conditions, so you say that the condition, environmental condition where we are working can affect the safety. It can affect the safety, it can affect our health, comfort, as well as the well-beings of the workers at a workplace. And if appropriate or excessive level of this chemical stress are present, then our performance is reduced. So in order to work at the workplace, a healthy environment is necessary for the safety or the health of a particular human being. The first slide is introduction. So what is the introduction? How we can give what is something what we call as the chemical stress. Chemical stress is also said to be the surface coating. Surface coating. The chemical stress को हम क्या कह सकते हैं? Surface coating भी कह सकते हैं. Why? Because the surface treatment normally involves coating or removing something from the surface. हम क्या करते हैं? Surface पे अगर coat करना है तो पहले हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा? करना है तो we have to remove something from the surface. So surface coating is nothing but it involves the coating or removing something from the surface, and surface coating constitute of a thin layer of the metals or inorganic materials such as paints. So normally paint करते समय हम क्या करते हैं? We used to remove the paint first by means of rubbing the walls, and then we have to apply a coating either by means of the primer or by means of the paints. And you know that the paints, when they are applied, these paints are applied in order to protect the walls from oxidation. So why do we apply coating? In order to protect these walls from oxidation, weathering, as well as the corrosion. So in case of metals, there we are, in order to avoid the corrosion, we used to coat the surface of the metal. Now coming up to the surface coating. So normally surface coating normally it includes paintings, enamelings, metal coating, plating, and welding. So during this process, certain amount of chemical stress they used to develop at the workplace, and that we have to remove it or we have to minimize it in order to reduce the effects of this chemical at the workplace. So the surface treatment operation should be performed as per the standard code practices and procedure. So इसके के कारण क्या होता है कि these chemicals which are hazardous, and in order to prevent the effect of these chemicals you can say that effects of these chemicals on the workplace, we have to do or we have to follow certain regulations, and this should be this treatment, surface treatment, जो surface treatment होता है, that should be performed. This treatment procedure should be performed as per the standard codes, as per the standard codes of practices and procedure, and compiling with the related regulation. उसके साथ में कुछ regulations होते हैं, उस regulation को follow करते हुए ये surface treatment process जो है वो operate करना चाहिए, so that certain disaster such operation in absence of suitable preventive or control measures, अगर ये सारा operation अगर हमने measure नहीं लिया तो sometimes they may lead to the fire, or you can say that explosion and health risk. So it is very important for a certain industry to maintain the workplace standards, and these standards, one of them, that is the chemical stress standards, they have to follow it. And here normally the surface coating can be reduced at the sources by changing or modifying the certain operation in the industries. तो इंडस्ट्री में हम क्या कर सकते हैं कि जहाँ कहीं पे ये केमिकल जो कि हैज़ार्डियस है इसे न यूटिलाइज करके उसके ऑल्टरनेटिव दूसरा कोई तो सोर्स यूटिलाइज करना या दूसरा केमिकल का यूज़ करना चाहिए विच इज़ less hazardous or non-hazardous as compared to the other one. Next is that जो पेंटिंग करते समय पेंट्स और एनामल्स नॉर्मली दे consisting of these paints जो नॉर्मली होता है, these are consisting of the binding agent, solvents, pigments and additives. So today we are going to see that when we used to say paint or painting, so painting itself contain a large amount of chemicals which are hazardous. How? Because this painting or enamels, this consisting of binding agents, and these binding agents is again consisting of certain hazardous chemicals such as alkyl resin, acrylic resin, epoxy resin and vinyl resin. So what is the main function of the binding agent is that it is you can say that binding agent is any material or substance बोल सकते हैं that holds the materials or other materials together. तो क्या करता है, बाइंड करके रखता है, दो कोई भी मॉलिक्यूल्स है दे यूज टू बाइंड दिस मॉलिक्यूल्स और adhere themselves with one another. So the main purpose of binding agent is to keep the layer of the paints or enamels together. वो क्या करता है, पेंट्स के जितने भी मटेरियल्स है वन मॉलिक्यूल्स टू अनदर मॉलिक्यूल्स को अच्छी तरह एडहेयर करके या फिर उसको बाइंड करके रखता है. So in order to bind, certain chemicals are used and these chemicals are nothing but the alkyl resin, acrylic resin, epoxy resin and vinyl resins. So here you can find out certain pictures of this is the picture of the vinyl resin and this is the picture of the acrylic resin. So this is a picture of the acrylic resin. So you can say that acrylic resin is a thermoplastic, एक प्रकार का वो प्लास्टिक का मटेरियल होता है और it is consisting of a plastic substance which is normally derived from acrylic acid. So it is derived from acrylic acid and it is one of the substance which is consisting of the plastic. So either vinyl resin or acrylic resin, epoxy resin, these are using as a binding agent in order to adhere the molecules together. Next is the solvent. So what is the main purpose of the solvent or thinner? We used to say it as a thinner. So what is this solvent or thinner? The main purpose of this thinner is to dissolve the binding agent. ये मेन काम क्या करता है, जो बाइंडिंग एजेंट है आपका विनाइल एक्रेलिक रेजिन है या एक्रेलिक सॉरी अल्काइल रेजिन है, जब भी आपका दो कोई भी मटेरियल्स है सब्सटेंसेस है, दे यूज टू डिसॉल्व दिस बाइंडिंग एजेंट्स. So the main purpose of the thinner is to of this or the solvent is to dissolve the binding agents. Binding agents and give the paint a proper texture. इसके कारण क्या होता है, पेंट को एक प्रॉपर टेक्सचर मिलता है. Besides this, the vapors of the solvent pose many health hazards. ये जो vapors होते हैं solvents, normally they used to vaporize when they are exposed to the air, and these vapors are considered to be one of the health hazards. They can cause the health hazards. Next, these are very toxic. And you can say that when it comes in contact with the skin or sometimes when they are inhaled, and sometimes they are highly toxic by means of ingestion. अगर वो ingest किया गया हो by means of inhalation or by means of skin contact, then it is considered to be very hazardous to the health. So operating this solvent or thinner, it should be a particular, you can say that careful measure should be taken before handling this solvent or the thinner. As I said that painting normally consisting of binding agent, it is consisting of solvents. So we have already seen the binding agents like acrylic resins. We have already seen the solvents, and now coming up to the pigments. So pigments, what is pigments? Pigments is finely grained powder which adds color and covering to the paint. Paint को क्या करता है, एक particular color देता है. So this is the main component which causes the color, different color. And today you can say that there are thousands of different substances may be used as a pigment. Pigment के लिए बहुत सारे ऐसे substances हैं जो कि use किए जाते हैं. Normally these pigments are or they usually cannot cause any health hazards except for the cases in which they may cause allergic or contact eczema they can cause. So you can say that some of the pigments they may be allergic, but rather than that you can say that it doesn't cause any type of health hazards. And what is pigments? Pigments is nothing but this is finely grained powders which added colors to the paint. And if these paints or pigments, if they are inhaled while doing this while spraying the spraying painter by means of utilizing the spraying painter, if it is inhaled, there is a possibility of causing the health hazards. So this is possibly also applied to the polishing. ये जो normally pigments होता है, it is normally applied to the polishing and welding on paint surface. So it normally gives colors to the paint. And paint contain many pigments. So what are these pigments? They may be cadmium, they may be lead or chromium, and it should not be used. So it gives a particular color, pigments, and it's normally not hazardous. But when these metals are mixed to the paint, then it is considered to be very hazardous. So we must avoid, or industry must avoid using the cadmium, lead or chromium should not be utilized in the paints, as these elements are involved in special health hazards. So these are certain metals which are normally mixed with the pigments or paints to give a very sparkling and beautiful colors, but this can be avoided not by means of not mixing into the paints. So this is a picture of a pigments. So sometimes these pigments are synthetic as well as the naturally, or you can say that from the plant parts they are extracted. So this is again a picture of, so this is a picture of ethylene, ethylene, ethylene glycol. So what is ethylene glycol? Ethylene glycol is an organic compound, and its main uses, it is mainly used as a raw material in the manufacture of polyester fiber. So you can say that it is used in the polyester fiber. So it is used as an additive. So additives form a part of all paints and enamels. So in order to obtain a better surface, a smooth surface, the glycol is added. So what is the main function of this glycol? This glycol is added in order to obtain a better surface, plain surface. This glycol is added. Certain water-based paints, normally they contain the additives in order to protect the paint. They contain certain additives in order to protect the paint against mold. So you can say that mold is one of type of the fungi. So it is added in order to protect paints against the molds, bacteria, frost, and to protect the can from corrosion. So this additive is added in order to protect from the certain organisms which are present in the atmosphere, and it is also added in order to protect the can in which it is preserved from the or any type of coating of metals by means of corrosion. So it avoids or it protects the can from corrosion. Protect the can from corrosion. So the main work of the additive is to obtain a better surface, and it is again a certain water-based paints, they contain the additive in order to protect it from the molds or fungi, bacteria, frost, and sometimes in order to protect from the corrosion. So next slide is spray painting and oil painting. So while doing the spray painting or the oil painting, certain precautions is to be taken, and this precaution, you know that spray painting often involves considerable health and fire hazards. So they are associated with in type of spray painting or oil paintings. Normally the spray painting is normally associated with the health hazards and sometimes the fire hazards also. So we have to take certain precautions, and this precaution is one of these precaution is use of respiratory protections. So in order to minimize the risk of the allergics or certain chemicals, the person who are spraying painting must use the respiratory protections. Respiratory protection means this is the respiratory protections, or you can say that, so this is nothing but the air supplying respirator. So this is a picture of air supplying respirator. So air supplying respirator are suitable for use in oxygen deficient atmosphere, and they may be of different types, of which one of them is the air supplying. This is of many type, and what does it mean? It makes you available the pure oxygen, and it will resist you from the inhaling the hazardous chemical. So the basic purpose of any respirator is to protect the respiratory system from the certain hazardous chemicals. So this is the normally image of an air supplying respirator. So a proper air supplying respirator should be used. Next is that while doing the spraying painting, equipped this spraying painting room or cabin must be equipped with an efficient exhaust. So there should be a proper efficient exhaust should be there in a particular cabin or room where the spraying painting process is going on. And the ventilation must be checked, and the air velocity must be checked regularly. Air velocity भी वहाँ का check होना चाहिए, and it is normally 0.5 meter per second. So this is the air velocity. And one more thing it should be done is that the ventilator must be checked. Ventilator must be checked, and the filter must be replaced often. So these are the certain precautions which should be taken while spray painting. Now coming up to the oil painting. So oil painting normally contains certain heavy metals which are hazardous, and they may contain lead, arsenic and chromate pigments. And these metals can have a serious long-term chronic effect from the repeated exposure to the small amount. मतलब थोड़े भी amount में अगर repeatedly if we are exposed to these heavy metals, then it is very injurious to the health. So certain precautions should be taken before spray painting or oil painting or handling the chemical stresses. And this should be according to the rules and regulation at the workplace. So today we have already covered this topic, that is chemical stress. Rest of the topic regarding the main topic, that is chemical stress, that should be covered in tomorrow's lecture. See you tomorrow. And after tomorrow there is a vacation, that is from 12th to I think so 18th or 20th is a holiday, that is the public vacation holiday. So I won't be able to place the lecture on these days. So celebrate the holiday. Wish you a happy Deepavali. Tomorrow will be the last lecture, and after the vacation we are going to continue the rest of the topic. Thank you for watching.